Hello everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Ash.
Hello.
Ash, you know what, mate?
What?
Witcher 4, mate!
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
It might not necessarily be The Witcher 4, but there's definitely more Witcher things coming, which we'll take.
Feed it to me.
I will. So at this point, CDPR have put out a general statement about their quarterly earnings, and they said, as part of their Q1 earnings, that they found out that The Witcher 3 earned just as much this year that it did last year.
Which is mental.
Which sounds insane, but I guess that many Witcher fans are getting on board with the series, especially with things like the Netflix show happening and whatever. And they went on to say that they're adopting a co-franchise model where it'll be Cyberpunk and then The Witcher, and then they'll alternate going forward, which I guess is kind of what Bethesda do with Fallout and Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
So this confirms that we're obviously getting more Witcher stuff, and whether or not it's called The Witcher 4 or, you know, The Witcher Generations or whatever, something else Witcher based is coming, and in a, I guess, like a AAA capacity or a meaningful capacity. What do you think?
I am very, very excited. I love The Witcher. I boarded with Witcher 2 and then I've played all the other ones and gone around with it, but I just think it's a fantastic franchise. It's got so much lore, so much heavy lifting is done with the novels that can be extrapolated and turned into even more games. So I think that them sticking with this franchise and padding it out even more, even if they don't return to Geralt and Ciri and all that sort of thing and do new things with it, would be fantastic. Witcher 4 just gets my blood pumping.
I guess in terms of Ciri and Geralt, Martin Nowinski, who was the creative director, who's one of the lead sort of people over at CDPR, said the Geralt story was done. Said the Blood and Wine was the last thing, and they don't want to be going back to that. He never said anything about Ciri, so I guess it's worth talking about Ciri because the way that Witcher 3 goes can give you different endings. So it's like she can either go off to become like a queen, or she can go off to become her own Witcher. I think there is like a third ending where things just kind of go sour and she doesn't really get a role.
I think she dies in one of them. Yeah, there is. I think there's an ending where she technically does not make it back from wherever she goes. But yeah, there's the Empress is a good one. Witcher is a good one, and then the other one is.
Because I was just thinking, if they do, they could. I would totally take a Ciri Witcher game or a Witcher Ciri game. I think for me, I really loved her power set. I didn't think they did like as much with it as I would have liked. I like the whole Battle of Kaer Morhen when you're warping around the place and whatever. That might be a way for them to sort of like innovate on the combat, give you more magic abilities and whatever. But I guess it would depend on which ending they class as canon. Yeah. But whatever.
That's the thing. Like I like that you can pick your own ending with it. That it comes about and you're kind of stuck with it. I think continuing the series story Continuing the series story would be fantastic, but taking away that kind of ending that some people would have gotten is maybe a contentious sort of point to go with.
I also think like there's a couple of other quotes in terms of, I'll mention the thing about Gwent, because obviously Gwent kind of came out of nowhere and just blew up. I don't know if you have the real world Gwent sets.
Oh, I don't.
That's how cool I am.
Oh my god.
They came with Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. You got the fancy versions, you got the actual like cardboard packs. You can play Gwent in real life.
Good.
And it's brilliant. So that whole thing apparently came from, I think it was Martin Nowinski as well.
Yeah.
When they were designing The Witcher 3, they like sort of sat down and said, we need to think of like a general card game or something for people to play as a mini game. And then over time that became Gwent, and it's become like its own separate card game. And they did put a statement out on that. They said that saying that the Gwent team currently focuses on porting the game to mobile devices, on adding new content, card sets, and vanity items. Oh, vanity items!
I love a vanity item.
Do you though?
Yeah, but it's good. It's nice. It's shiny.
If it's randomly doled out with a microtransaction on it?
Well, that's problematic. But still, I want all of them. So
yeah, kind of. They said vanity items as well as organising regular in-game events with the aim to attract and retain gamers. Which is cool. I like the idea that they continue to support Gwent. Obviously, it became its own standalone thing alongside being a mini game in Witcher 3. But in terms of this whole codependent, like interchangeable model with that and Cyberpunk, I don't think they'll just keep doing. I don't think Gwent is their Witcher representation.
No,
basically.
I think it's just going to be their little side game sort of thing. The whole dual representation thing is the like space versus fantasy, isn't it? So I think they just want to mainline games and all that sort of thing.
How much are they just usurping Bethesda?
Oh, they're doing it. They're doing Bethesda better than Bethesda do Bethesda though. So you know what? All power to them. Like
my whole thing with CDPR, because I was going to do a whole editorial on this at one point about why CDPR are kind of the developers that Bethesda fans deserve. Because like Bethesda are on a bit of a weird point. They're not doing very well. Whereas CDPR seem to be kind of playing their cards right kind of thing. But yeah, in terms of, I guess, just sort of like general wish listy stuff. Like they've said the Geralt story's done. We've sort of like potentially mentioned Ciri. What do you think about like, would you take like a Ciri game, or do you think they should branch off and do something else?
I think a Ciri game would be fantastic. I would really love it. I'd get proper behind it. Like you say, her skill set, her move set, all the warping and phasing sort of thing would be really interesting to see. And she's got a whole backstory with Geralt and is young enough to, like, again, further the series and carry it on her back, whether she is like an empress or whatever. You can play it from a different angle. Because there's that other Witcher game where it's you're like, you are a queen of...
Oh, Thronebreaker.
Yeah, that's it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so like that's a different way of playing it that could be good. I think if they're veering away from it being The Witcher 4, having something that follows maybe that sort of storyline would be interesting. But I would be very down down for the Vesemir prequel. Like,
oh god, so we had a couple of wish list articles over on the site where people sort of like, looked at the fan community and things that people wanted and whatever. One of them was a Siri game, one of them was a Vesemir prequel.
Yes.
I didn't realize that he's apparently like 200 years old.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's never confirmed, and he's got all this Witcher blood thrown. It's like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, where it's like, oh, you don't really know, but like he's quite old, and he's been around since the start of the building of the Wolf School and all that sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. So like seeing that big battle, the thing that destroyed Kaer Morhen with him, and all that sort of thing could be really interesting, and all the different lives that he has led would be really good to see.
I like the idea of doing something like that, because like it can do a Red Dead Redemption 2 where you can retroactively make the events of the thing that you already love even better, and that's really cool. Another thing was the potential, the golden age of witches, back when they first started getting created to sort of like combat the amount of monsters that were arriving in the realms, and back when they were sort of more beloved by the people, and I guess if you set it at a time when that started to change, because the witches in the lore are sort of just like kind of hated and just thought of as this sort of necessary evil. They're very, I don't know, like just sort of as a witcher comes into town, everyone sort of locks their doors and says, oh god, another one of them's coming.
Those fellas.
But I like the idea of them doing something like that. I think that would open the gates to doing more like armor customization, and I don't know like if they would ever do more weaponry. I know obviously like it is, you get stuck with the swords, that's the way that you train, but one of the sort of general suggestions at the time was like we wanted to do more combat, more different animations from the fan side anyway.
I think a really interesting way of doing it would be the best way, the way that would be the most interesting would be have a young recruit going through the trial of the grasses, practicing with all different weaponry, so you can basically choose your class, and then you end up choosing a school from that sort of thing, so you can be like the bear, the viper, the cat, whatever. Not the wolf. We've seen the wolf, but something else where you can basically go through it that way, but obviously that isn't necessarily how it works because they're all in different locations and stuff, so it'd have to be a really sprawling open map to do that sort of thing. But I think that would be the most interesting way of playing out all of the Witcher lore, and keeping it very Witcher-centric. Another one that'd be really good is take it back 1.5 millennia ago and just go straight to the conjunction of the spheres and have it for when humans arrive in the land. I think that would be a really interesting way of playing it out as well. But
if you did a general sort of MMO landscape at the conjunction when everything kicks off for the first time, when you have the craziest monsters and the things that eventually were eradicated so that humans could even live there, then you get to have a hell of a lot more fun with the enemy designs and the monsters and stuff like that. I like the idea of that. It's weird with The Witcher 3 because you kind of forget how many like patches and like sort of technical things that it had back at launch. Like I adore it. It's genuinely one of my favorite games like of all time of the generation, whatever. But it's like they did go through a lot of sort of incarnations with it in terms of revamping the menu systems and changing the way that Geralt moves and things like that. I guess with like a next game, do you think they should just take their time, like just because with Cyberpunk they were really making a point of like we will take years and years and years until it's ready. Like I'll take that this time.
100%. The same again. Like as long as it's coming out perfect, I will wait as long as necessary. Please take as long as you need CDPR. As long as you're doing it, please like directly to use CDPR. Like please do it. PR. Yeah, please. I think as long as they need to take it and do it and make it perfect, everyone's going to be happy with what happens. Because like a 250 Game of the Year awards, which has really got like.
I still think it's like this monolithic thing. I think there's hardly anything that you can sort of improve upon. I've had a couple of friends that I tried to get into it over the years that just bounced off the combat. I don't know if like you had sort of stuff over the years, like or when you were playing it that you were like you would improve. For me, it's pretty much perfect. I would just give you more of that. I would take more of that. I think I like the idea of doing this sort of custom protagonist in the open world MMO type stuff. But it's just interesting in terms of them as a company, like doubling down on. They know that CDPR, they know that The Witcher is one of their big pillars, and then Cyberpunk for the next thing. But I guess it's just kind of weird. Where do you even go with this, considering how massive The Witcher 3 was? Like, what do you even want to see?
Ooh, this is the thing though, because like as much as there's all the things we could talk about, Vesemir, could talk about the prequel, it could be a sequel where it's set like hundreds of years in the future where there's a new threat, and you can see all of the outcomes of Syria's Empress, or what I keep talking about Syria's Empress. That was my ending. So, but yeah, like you can see all of the outcomes of that and what everyone's been up to while setting it in a new land that is like away from the world of everything we've experienced so far. But let's just get real for a second. As much as they have confirmed Witcher 4, we don't know when it's going to come or what it's going to be. And there's something else coming out first because they've confirmed that a game is coming out in 2021.
That is a very good point. They've been talking about this sort of mystery IP thing for a while now. But this sort of announcement that they're going like one then the other makes me think that it is Witcher related, even though they've said that it's not.
Hold on, I've got quotes.
Have you got a little quote?
I've got some quotes.
I'll start with the quote, mate.
So I've got a couple. One is from Adam Kicinski. Excuse my pronunciations.
I think that's right.
The first three Witchers were by definition a trilogy, so we simply could not name the next game The Witcher 4. This does not mean, of course, that we will leave the world of The Witcher. So we're still coming back, but it will not be The Witcher 4 because he's done with Geralt's story.
Oh, way to poop on the story, Kaczynski.
We know that Geralt's story's done though. That's not new. That's fine. That's allowed. And then another one was The Witcher was designed as a trilogy, and a trilogy cannot have a fourth part, can it? Said Marskin Iwinski.
He's not seen Indiana Jones.
True.
Or Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, but are these good examples of a fourth part? Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones. And then we like this world a lot. We invested 15 years of our lives in it and a lot of money. So we'll think about making a new Witcher game at some point. But please consider us as a rational people. We sometimes have weird ideas, but overall our thinking is very rational. We have full rights to the Witcher games. They are ours. We invested enormous funds into promoting it, and it's a very strong brand. So it's definitely coming back.
Yes.
But they're very hedgy about when it is, if it's The Witcher 4, and everyone to not get their hopes up. But this seems like a really good way of laying the groundwork for it to not be a Witcher 4 title, because it's not going to be The Witcher 4, it's not going to be the Geralt story of Witcher 4, but it is going to be in the Witcher universe and named something else, and they're just going to drop it next year.
There's potentially whatever that is. I think that's separate to the sort of mystery IP that they've been describing. I think they've got like a smaller budget side thing, just something that sort of lets them do something that's more like indie focused, something with maybe different game mechanics or whatever. I'm curious to see what those things are. If they're the same, that would be great. But I still think it's a weird sort of question mark around whatever they're calling the next main Witcher installment, unless it's just more Gwent. I assume that it's
oh my God,
a little bit more in depth. But whatever. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Are you curious about whatever the hell The Witcher can even do next, and what do you think about the comments that they've said? For now, though, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I have also been here, and I'm Ash.
Good. And we'll catch you next time.
Bye. I didn't even say bye there. Goodbye.